Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to attempt to use my long forgotten Derwent Inktense blocks for my background. I'm going to attempt, and this is the set I have, and I think this is already the old packaging which I had for years. I think, yeah, it has been years. So I'm going to put the lid aside, and oops. Now this is the set of Inktense, which is like old and mangy, and I've used them for, I've used them before. And let me see the bottom. It's been years that I've used this. It's not a new thing. It's not a new set. So yeah, it's like broken and missing bits, broken bits and things like that. So I have not used this set for quite some time, so I thought it's good to get using this, use what I have. So I am going to attempt to do the background, which is like, my attempt is to do a galaxy sort of, but I mean, I have not, really mastered doing that, but never mind. I'm just going to use the, a paint set. Now, it's very difficult to see what color the number is. The number is just written here, and I have actually, it will stain your hands, so be careful. Maybe you want to wear gloves, but I can't work with gloves, so the number is here. It's very faint, and it would just rub off. But anyway, I am going to, what I'll do is I'm just taking the the lid of this old pasta jar, pasta sauce jar, and I am going to wet this thing and make ink out of it, and it's going to splatter. And it's not a very good idea that I'm doing this on my coloring page. So I am going to wet this and make it into ink. Yeah, I'm going to get some ink out, and for Inktense, it's going to stay permanent once it's dry. I have used this, but not as much as I like it to be. So I'm just going to like activate it with water and just going to get some out first, and then what I'll do is it might go wrong. So let's do this together. I'm going to wet the area first, which I attempt to do. I'm going to just wet the page like this. Just it's like the brush is already wet. So sorry, elephant, if I'm going to just wet it. Just get my brush was already wet with the paint. So I'm just going to wet the area, and it's going to soak through, and I might destroy this page, but I just really want to get this effect on the page. Yeah, so it might go wrong, but well, I can color the page again. So I'm going to take this and wet it. I'm just going to take this paint and just going to dab it all around. This might actually take a few layers to get it right. You have to get it right first. So this is my first layer of the background. Yeah, it has dried, so I'm going to add a bit more water. So that was the color of my, you know, the first layer. This is not going to be perfect, but hey ho, this is just coloring. Yeah, and I'm just going to wet this area. I think you can see, yeah. And then I'm going to use another, you know, color. I think just choose any random near it color. So I'm going to just do it, you know, outside of shot, because I do not want to get it onto my page. So it's wet, so I'm just going to dab another color. Wet on wet. So it's going to be like a little bit like watercolor, but when it dries, and you got to let it like you know, totally dry first before you add another layer, if you know, you want the base to look different. That's the beauty of Inktense, but you've got to, like, you know, really let it dry out. Yeah. So the neighbor's daughter is getting married, so you might hear some noises. So, well, this is the only time I can, you know, get to actually play with my Inktense properly. Yeah, so I'm going to just let it dry like that. Okay, so I'm just going to add more paint to it when I come back in the next clip. So see you then. Now this has dried, totally dried. It has dried a bit, you know, like faded a little bit. So now I'm going to add more Inktense, and also this glitter paint, metallic paint, which I showed you in the last you know, video, which I got this cheap paint, which is this from this set, number, you know, number 3. I've taken this out, so I'm going to use that color and mix it with Inktense. So yeah, here we go. I'm going to, you know, I think you can see this. It's going to be a bit messy, but put a little bit of water, and I'm going to activate the darker color, the purplish color, into this same thing here. Activate it, and then I am going to re-wet my surface. You see, the Inktense will not get reactivated. It's dried, and so it's permanent. See, I just want a wetter surface for it to flow better. Yeah, once I've got my water down, I think it's wet enough. So if you do multiple layers like this, I think the paper will be able to hold it better. So now I'm going to add yeah, more paint, you see. And this purple, yeah, purplish, like indigo sort of color. So it will somewhat I'll add more water for it to flow. So just add paint, add paint as you go along. Yeah, it will just blotch, bleed. Doesn't matter, that's the effect we want. I've actually, you know, I did a little bit on Instagram, my reel. So yeah, so before it dries, just add water. You can do whatever you want when it's wet, but once it's dry, the color stays there, stays put. Then I'm going to add a little bit of this blue here for some shine. This is the metallic paint, you know, from that 36 set. So I'm just going to add it in here. It's fine, it's okay. It's going to activate more. Put a bit more water in it. Yeah, let it sit for a while. Yeah, there. So I have a little bit of watercolor and Inktense now here. And after, you know, you apply the first layer, make sure it's really, you know, dried, or else you would reactivate the surface below, and you know, you might not get the result you want. But sometimes accidents do look good as well, but so it depends really. Yeah, so just peel it up. Just going to add water like that. See, and I've actually done this part on Instagram Reel, so I'm just going to, you know, continue here. Take this Inktense. This is Inktense, and then because it's like find that it's a bit too washed out, so I add another layer. And this is like a bit too purple, so I'm going to add a bit more blue. And I thought it would be nice, maybe not here, the top part. I would, you know, I'm going to continue this part, you know, off screen. And I'm going to do the top part here. I'm going to add a little bit of shimmer and stardust from, this is from the Art Spirit. And yeah, I thought I would add this part here. I'm just going to wet this, activate it. And just apply it to get it to, you know, the paper is a bit dry now. So wait, let me wet the paper first. Now I'm going to add the stardust for this star effect. So actually on this section here, there are 3 layers of, you know, paint. So the first layer was Inktense, like what I did at the bottom, like what I did at the bottom part. Then second layer, and it's dry. Second layer, like this one, I did it on Instagram Reel. And now, when it's really dried, I applied this stardust watercolor. So it has some starry effect. I shall wait for it to dry. So now I am going to continue doing this section here. This part here, I'm just going to leave it to dry. Okay, so this part here, it's dried. I'm just going to turn it this way around, and just going to put this aside. My brush, and this is the indigo something color. See, so what you see on the reel, it looks a bit much darker like this, but when it dries, it's really washed. I mean, it would dry out a bit more washed out. Yeah. So sometimes you don't be deceived. Usually watercolor and Inktense like that, it will dry out a little bit less like washed out. Not as bright as when it's wet. Yeah. So now this part is the blue I wanted. Oh no, this is the second layer. Then I'm going to add, wash my brush. Then I'm going to add this blue watercolor on it, which I did on my reel for that section. Oops. Got some paint on my knuckle now. And I'm just going to add the watercolor on top. See? So it actually looks somewhat darker than what it actually is when it's wet. See? I'm going to add more blue, this lighter blue here. This is another blue block. This is the second color which I, use. This is the blue. It really looks very blue, but when it's dry, it's like, slightly. I'm going to wet the paper so that it flows better. Usually Galaxy, I've got to like do it, I don't know, I do it 2 layers because the first layer would look a bit like everything has gone wrong, and you've got to be patient to move the paint. See? And now I'm going to add this watercolor. it's wet, you can move it. Now, but this part here, I thought I would it's very dry here. Wet the brush. I would add a bit more Inktense. And the paint. This part, I'm going to just merge it. Yeah. And I'm going to attempt to use, since it's on watercolor, I'm just going to attempt to use this Stardust. Wash my brush, clean it, and reactivate the Stardust paint. This the glitter on this glitter, you know, I'm not sure if you can see the metallic color on this paint. It shows in different light, not really. So I am just going to activate it with add this Stardust paint on top. It's not going to work. It's not as good as when it's dried, totally dried. So I'm going to wait it till it's dry. It does not work as how well it's work on this side. So I'm going to let it dry. See, I'm going. Maybe you can see. So I'm going to wait till it's dry. I'll come back in the next clip and to show you again to complete the thing. Right, now the paint has dried, and if I show you like this in the light, can you see how shiny it is and how glittery it is? And I like the sound of crinkly paper. You know, the sound of crinkly paper. I've added some glitter as well on this part. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to, put more this Stardust from the Art Spirit. Okay, I'm going to put it here, like as how I put it here. And when it's dried, you see, wow, beautiful, I like it. Yeah. So I'm going to add this without wasting any more time. I'm going to, add this here and show it to you when it's dried, all dried. It's still wet, this. So I'm just going to add, is it visible? Maybe I'll zoom you in. Yeah. So I'm just going to wet the paper again. Wet the paper again. Yeah, so let the paint flow. It needs to be wet. It's going to reactivate some parts of it again. See, so I'm just going to pick up some paint, some glitter, and just add it all around. Random spots. It usually does not really show when it's like, on. Oh, that's too much paint there. I've actually taken too much. Because it was like wet and was soaking. But anyway. done now. It's going to add more water. I'm going to get this some out here. Just going to add it here. Distribute it a bit. Because it's a watercolor, so it should be able to be, I should be able to lift it. Yeah. And add more here. I'm just going to, lift it. But anyway, the sky, some parts, there are more clusters of stars. So just assume that that cluster has, that section has more stars. Yeah. See, I'm going to wait for it to dry, and I'm going to come back and show you the dried result. Thus, right, now it has dried. I'm just going to show you the final picture once it's dried. You see the glitter, marvelous. The night sky. Yeah, so it shows, it glitters more in, different angle, and the sound of crinkly paper. I love the sound of crinkly paper. And see this, right? So, this is all I have for you for this video. I am going to love you and leave you all now. Until then, take care and happy coloring. And if you like the videos like this, do not hesitate to subscribe and give me a cheeky thumbs up. Bye bye. Take care.